Howdy guys. So I realised with my last video that one, I wanted to change the camera angle, so new camera angle, but two, more importantly, that there's too much waffle going on, the video is too long, and I think that's because I'm talking about too many topics. I'm trying, whoa, my hands look weird with this lens if I, okay, this video is supposed to be short. I'm trying to talk about too much stuff and I need to keep them to one topic every video. And I don't need to continuously update on what the business is doing. I think that will come out in the conversations that I have. So from now on, until I feel like it, these videos are just going to talk about one thing and one thing only. What I wanted to talk about today is something that I've talked about before, but I felt like I didn't cover it in kind of a decent enough way. So I've written some notes and I'm going to run through them. And today what I wanted to talk about was social media schedules for businesses. Be quiet. So first of all, I want to cover social media platforms. Let's start there. I think the important ones to cover, or what I'm going to cover, is Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn. I think those are like the main channels that businesses in Australia and in Perth need to be in. I'm ignoring Twitter. It's big in the UK, I think it's big in America, but in Australia, I really don't see it as a platform. The other piece that I talk around when people kind of ask my opinion on social media platforms for businesses is making sure that they are relevant for your business. So number one, I think that Facebook is relevant for most businesses. How you set up, what type of page you set up is really down to you to work out. But I think that all businesses should be on Facebook. Instagram, I think most businesses, but not all businesses, need to be on Instagram. The businesses that I think need to be on Instagram are really image-driven businesses. And typically I would think around like cafes, restaurants, clothes manufacturers, potentially real estate, although I don't see it that much. I think the reason for those is because what they produce is something completely different every time. So as a cafe owner, you're constantly like changing your menu, and so therefore you can photograph things differently and that sort of stuff. As a clothes manufacturer or a clothes retailer, you are constantly changing your stock. There is new things in that you can talk around and generate material on. It is still possible to have, and you should have as a service business, a Instagram account. The trickiness with that is driving the content for that. But maybe I'll talk about that later. I've kind of got a few ideas. Snapchat. This is a bit of an unknown thing, but definitely the people that are using it are younger. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't be using it unless you've got a younger audience? Hell no. What you should be using Snapchat for is almost like a media feeder system. So by having a younger audience, those guys eventually can become consumers, and so therefore you should go out and be using that. LinkedIn really only is for those businesses who are chasing professionals, those people who sit in an office. I think those people are the only people that really use it because, let's take a real estate agent to start with. Those guys, you can be on LinkedIn, but unless you'd really use that only for networking with other real estate or linked businesses, you're not really going to find clients through it. Because realistically, we go out, we find somebody, and then that's it. And we don't buy a house every 5 seconds. There's probably extremes of people who do. But yeah, effectively, the people that I see on LinkedIn are office people. The next part I wanted to talk around was how often should you post? There's a million flipping articles out there about how often you should post on your social media channels as a business. And the truth is, I don't think there's a right answer. Personally, what I think is like Facebook, max once a day, but realistically, every other day. Instagram, I think max twice a day, but you better have good content to put out there. Realistically, every couple of days. Snapchat, to be honest, I'm not really sure what the answer is here. I think Snapchat is still relatively new. I think there's plenty of opportunity in it now for businesses, but the biggest thing that I see with that is not having storyline within their media. LinkedIn, probably once a week. The truth is that LinkedIn, I don't think is that well used by people. And so realistically, even if you write good stuff and good articles, then the amount of time that professional people have to actually read LinkedIn is limited. And let's face it, when we're on a weekend, we don't want to be reading LinkedIn. So those are my kind of like Bruce's thoughts on how often you should post. The biggest thing with all of this stuff is not actually the question of how often do I post, what platforms do I use, how do I use these platforms. The biggest issue that I see is actually media content. And the biggest conversations I have with people is around media content, because what they realize is, say for example that you post every other day on Facebook. Now, you can write something on Facebook pretty easily about your business, but the truth is that photo and video engage a lot better with people. So what content are you going to put out? And suddenly when you actually speak to people and say, so what content are you going to put out? Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week, Monday, Friday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday the following week. I think that's when people actually suddenly go, oh, we need like media content, and what do we do for that? And I think that's probably the biggest challenges that businesses have, is thinking about what content they should have for their business. The other thing that they probably fall down on is the need to plan. You need to be thinking about, like, so for my business, I post on Facebook 3 times a week, and Instagram, which I've now upped my game, is I think it's every other day, so that's a bit more. You need to have a plan that shows off your business to its best. When you're looking at your content, like I'm chasing a lot of different customers. I might be chasing real estate, I could be chasing like cafes, I could be chasing like gym. They're very different businesses, and if you show too much of one thing, then you aren't going to target your market. So it's important to have a plan that rotates through your type of media. The other thing is scheduling. And a lot of people don't realize that you can schedule a lot of stuff. So certainly within Facebook and apps through Instagram, Snapchat you can't, unfortunately, and LinkedIn I don't believe you can, but you can certainly use scheduling to your advantage. I.e., as a business owner, you can sit down and plan all your media content, and then you could sit down and have a plan that's and sit down on, like, say the last Sunday of every month, and you just sit there and you plug it all in and it's planned and it's ready to go. It does depend on the business. For me, it's a little bit harder, I'll be honest, to do that sort of stuff, because my business is very changeable, I guess would be one way of describing it, in that I don't always know what content I've got, because my content is based on what I deliver for clients, and those schedules always move around. Hopefully that's useful to somebody at some point, but those are the points that I've learned at the moment. It's interesting. I think the reason that I wanted to talk about this sort of stuff is, one, because I think I covered it crappily in my last video when I talked about it, and I talked about it specifically for my business, and two, I think it's probably something when I have conversations with business owners about media content, media marketing, is something that they miss on. So anyway, thought I'd stick it in a video, see what happens. If you like the video, push the thumb up. If you got a comment, stick it in the comment section, let's have a discussion. And if you like this kind of stuff and want more, subscribe. Cheesy sales pitch. Okay, catch you guys.